Run! It's a lion! No! Oh, wait, no, it's me, Mr. Cruz. So, yep, here again, we're going to talk about how consumers are influenced um, in their decisions that they make. If you watch the consumers and producers video, you saw that we talked about consumers make some very important choices about what they're going to buy, how much or how many of they're going to buy, and how much they're willing to pay when they buy said product. Um, so uh, it's not the circle of life; it is the circle of influence. Um, Consumers influence producers by buying specific things. And then the producers influence consumers by producing a limited range of things to choose from. Okay? Like, in order to travel from place to place, I would love to have a teleportation system. Producers don't produce a teleportation system. Okay? They limit my choices to vehicles. Okay? Now, I have a wide choice within that range, but I also can't strap a rocket on my back, or those aren't that's not produced for me to use either. So they don't produce everything. They limit us by producing so much. I recently had to buy a new car because I was in a wreck and someone totaled out mine. And in the car shopping, I could never find exactly what I wanted. Okay, uh, there was stuff that had some of the things I wanted. This would have some, and this would have some. And so I was limited by the producers because they produced only a certain range. There was no range that actually met what I was exactly looking for. Um, and so I had to choose from that range. That's how they influenced me. But I influenced them because I bought a car. I want to buy me a Rogue, a Nissan Rogue. Um, and so the producers use market research to get ahead in this game. They research and they do surveys. I've had to fill out several. Sorry, I didn't have to, but they sent several surveys since I bought my car, asking me how I like my car, why did I buy my car, and so forth, so that they can get this research data and make cars that people are looking for. Um, And in market research, they research into the size, location, and makeup of the product market. Basically, how many consumers are looking for this? Is it worth our time to make this? Is there enough people who are going to buy this? Are we going to be able to get into this niche of consumers? Okay, and they use surveys, as I've mentioned. They use focus groups. I went to Las Vegas several summers ago in my summer travels, and something I was cool. I really enjoyed. I was part of a focus group for a TV show that you may have seen, Two Broke Girls. You got to go in, and I got to watch it before it ever came out. And they had this little device that I would turn, and I constantly was supposed to be turning it. As I thought it was funny, I would turn it one way. As I got bored with the show and stuff, I would turn it another way. You're supposed to kind of keep it moving as to how you felt about the show. And then they asked you surveys about it afterwards. And they do this for movies and stuff. That's why a lot of times they'll change an ending to a movie or different things. So they want to make it so that the maximum number of people are going to desire it. The cultural divide. If you're not aware, this is the Great Wall of China. Culture also influences consumers and producers. Think of any cultural influences on the economy. Uh, where you live. If you live in the South, you're more likely to buy iced tea because iced tea is a big thing down here. Also, if you live in the South, you're more likely. Well, I've found that you're more likely, in a lot of my travels, we like Coke better down here. Up north, they like Pepsi and stuff better in certain regions, and that has to do with the fact that it uses local water and makes it taste different and stuff. But you can look at cultural things such as also your ethnicity. You know, what's more important to people from different backgrounds. People who are Americans are more likely to buy certain things, whereas people who are from Mexico or Canada or Japan or any other places are maybe influenced to buy things that more reflect their culture. What do you mean you don't have the iPhone 72? People are sheep, and face up to it. People always want what other people have. So they go and buy things just because someone else has it or says we should have it. A lot of the times, you know, a new phone will come out. It's the exact same phone with one extra feature that's really not all that great, but oh my God, I gotta have the newest phone. Or oh my gosh, I gotta have. It blows my mind. I was talking to the people when I was buying the car. How many people buy a car and then a year or two later they turn around, trade it in, and buy a new car? They're losing tons of money by doing this. But they gotta have that new car with that extra one or two new features. And so we've become a society that we have got to have the latest and greatest technology. And that's one of the things that they're learning, that if they just continue, look at Apple. Apple continues to come out with a new version, and so does a lot of other ones. Apple's one of the big ones, but they come out with a new version, and so that because they know people are drawn to having the best new version of something. There are other influences, such as trends. Okay, back in the 80s, think about the trends that went on. The big hair, all the bracelets. When you look at somebody from the 80s, that was the 1980s. Um, Environmental, where we come from. You know, that plays a big role. Where we live. If I'm living out here on the streets, I might be more concerned with specific things than if I live in a nice little country town. Okay? Values. The values we're raised with. Some of us are raised with specific family values, that we value uh, privacy. So we want to buy things that very private. Or some of us, we were raised to be bold in public. Um, so that might influence what we have. So a lot of things influence us, and then our belief system. Uh, you know, for religious reasons, we may or may not buy something. Uh, you may not go to watch this latest movie because uh, it goes against your Christian values. You might not buy certain types of foods because it's against your religious values. Um, so, these are all things that are put together that influence who we are and what we buy. And they research into this to find out who specifically to market to. Here's a little bit of terminology. A rational choice is logical decision making based on thoughtful analysis that compares the benefits and costs of an action. This is where you logically sit down and look, and you kind of even make a list of your pros and cons, and you figure out what is the best choice. Uh, there's also irrational, to where it's, oh, I just really want this, or something that really, it's emotional. It's more of an emotional choice, okay? And we make those a lot of the times. Financial planning. It's a process of creating a strategy to pay for necessity and to save for future goals. This is where you lay out, I'm going to save so much of my paycheck. I'm going to use so much to pay for my bills, okay? So that's financial planning. Cost benefit analysis, which we've already talked about, weighs the cost and benefits before making a decision. That goes kind of there with your rational choice. Budget. That's where you lay out a financial plan, and it spells out what your expenses are, what your income is, and what your projected savings is. Expenses. That's money spent to pay bills or to make purchases. Fixed expenses are expenses that are necessary and do not change much over time, such as if your home mortgage, okay, that would be a fixed. It does not change. You're going to pay the same that note every month for 30 years, okay? Flexible. Okay, that is non-necessary expenses or luxuries that can be changed, like your satellite bill or your cell phone bill. You can change that. You can add programming, subtract programming. You can add, more data, subtract data, and that's flexible and it's luxury. It's not something that you need. Discretionary spending. This is based on wants, not needs, usually built into a budget to give some extra spending on non essentials. This is like the money that you're going to use to go out to dinner and go to watch a movie. Okay? Income, money earned or money received. A penny pincher. Why make a budget? It will tell you how much you're making. You'll get to see actually how much money you're making. You'll know how much you're actually spending, rather than just spending it all away. You'll actually know where you are spending your money. Am I just throwing my money away on this? It's really funny. A lot of people who smoke and then quit smoking, um, always look back and say, "Oh man, I have so much more money." I saw a commercial the other day with one guy. He talked about he quit smoking and he took and put the money that he was going to smoke, uh, that he would have bought smoke cigarettes with, and he actually by the end of the year bought a four wheeler right out. He just went and paid for the four wheeler because that's how much money he was throwing down the drain uh, by smoking. Um, you get to know how much you're saving. You get to plan for future expenses and future savings so that one day you can have a nice house or a nice car if that's what you want. Planning. There's long-term planning and short-term planning. Long-term planning is for the future, 10, 20, or more years in the future. Short-term planning is for the present or immediate future, usually up to about 5 years. Yet more decision making, your utility. You have to look at utility, the amount of personal satisfaction gained from the use or consumption of goods and services. How happy does this item make you? And then does that utility decline or increase over time? So is this product going to continue to make me happy or am I going to get bored with it? And it varies from person to person. The utility I have with my new car, you might not have that. Opportunity costs. It's the benefits and utility given up by choosing to do one thing and not alternatives. Now, I don't have as much money to spend now that I bought a new car, so I've given up other opportunities. And any of those opportunities I gave up were the opportunity cost of buying that new car. Marginal analysis, weighing additional costs and benefits of going for one or more units of something. If A great example of this is I was at Subway one day and I asked for some extra black olives on my sandwich. And the girl's like, "Oh, well, that's going to be an extra 50 cents." And I said, "No, thank you. You can keep the sandwich." I wasn't willing to pay that additional 50 cents. So I made a marginal analysis that that additional cost of those black olives made it not worth the sandwich for me. Because most places they'll just put them on there. Risk aversion, how much of reluctance a person has to taking chances. Do I, especially in planning and saving, my financial advisor, and whenever you get old enough that you set up retirements and stuff, they'll do a risk aversion on you, see how much of your money you want to invest and what kind of investments you want to make. Well, that's all the time we have. So until next time, deuces.